Bama's in camp, and we are just 3+ weeks away from the opener in Atlanta against the Miami Hurricanes. Welcome to the Voice of College Football. And, of course, we welcome in Stephen M. Smith of TouchdownAlabama.com, who delivers on the Crimson Tide for us on a regular basis. Stephen, how you doing today?
Doing well, Mark. Crimson Tide, its first full week of fall practice now. Started off fall camp on last Friday, but Saban and the gang happy to get back to work again.
You can catch Stephen on his Monday, Wednesday, and Friday shows, In My Own Words, 6 Central, right here on YouTube. Stephen, you got a chance over the weekend, you and the rest of the Alabama contingent of media, to speak with Coach Saban, and on the offensive and defensive side of the balls with Bill O'Brien and Pete Golding. Let's start with Coach Saban in regards to what stands out to you in regards to his emphasis in these first few weeks.
Well, the first thing you talked about, Mark, was Coach Saban did lay out the injury report there, and first and foremost, defensive lineman Brian Ray, of whom it really doesn't matter how often you change your strength and conditioning personnel or whatever the case may be. You always are going to have maybe that one player that the injuries just so happen to find that one player, and unfortunately for Alabama, that guy is Brian Ray. Freshman year, 2017, kind of a bit of a leg issue. 2018, his sophomore year, was his only full year healthy. 2019, his junior year, played the first 3 games, had a foot issue, missed the rest of the season. Even last year, he struggled with elbow and shoulder problems. He had surgery on his groin, not this past Friday, but the Friday before, of a team doctors and the coaching staff. Very hopeful that they can have Ray for the opener against Miami. But Brian Ray has been going through just so much since he first got here as a freshman. The positive news being that Trey Sanders, Alabama running back, is close to being back to fully healthy at 100%. The 5-star from Florida was set to take some carries from Najee Harris and Brian Robinson in his freshman year. Unfortunately, had that foot injury. And, of course, last season, middle of the year, was involved in a car accident that led to injuries there. But the team, Coach Saban mentioning near 100% is Trey Sanders. A team happy about that. And Malachi Moore, who did not practice throughout the spring due to a small back issue, he's back after practicing with the guys the first 3 days of camp. So Coach Saban happy about this group. He senses these guys are bought in, are ready to go, but did run through the injury report with us, and hopefully the Tide can have Brian Ray by Miami. If not, expect Byron Young to step in at that defensive end spot.
Stephen Smith is our guide, breaking down Alabama football for us on a regular basis. Catch him on his YouTube show right here, his call-in show. Give him a ring. Talk Tide with him Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 Central. In My Own Words, and of course, TouchdownAlabama.com is your destination as well. Stephen, let's go to the offense. Of course, you have talked about it all off season, as the entire college football nation has in regards to the talent loss. What are the main emphasis of Bill O'Brien's approach this August?
We look at Coach O'Brien. I mean, he spoke on not trying to. It's the Alabama offense, regardless of who is the coordinator there. I mean, each guy that comes in, they try to add their own wrinkle, their own style, their own spin to it. And I believe for O'Brien, it's going to be the double tight end set, using Jaleel Billingsley and Cameron Latu both on the field. So whether he chooses to have them both play on the inline or stretch or split, Billingsley out wide, like a receiver, the other man at 6'4", 230 pounds. He kind of got that Kyle Pitts ability in his game. Of course, we saw what Pitts did in his career at Florida prior to him getting selected number 4 overall to the Falcons in this recent draft here. But just hearing from O'Brien, he talks so much about how Bryce Young, such a very coachable, just well-coached player, was coached well in high school. The procedures are modern day in California, was coached well last year with the Crimson Tide, despite the fact that due to COVID concerns, didn't get a lot of action, did not get a lot of time on the field, but we saw Young in the spring game, over 300 yards passing, 1 touchdown, made some plays, despite pressure being in his face at times. And while you want to see Bryce, throw the ball and whip it all over the field, expect for O'Brien to institute balance in the run and pass game. But the big thing that he talked about was just the trust factor with everybody on offense. Bryce Young trusting the running backs, the receivers, the offensive line, and all of those groups trusting him as well. But the big thing is, O'Brien trusting in Bryce's ability, and then Bryce Young trusting in the play calling of Bill O'Brien. So if the trust factor offensively is what it was with how the guys trusted Steve Sarkisian last year, then I think the offense is going to be just fine, Mark. But the main thing is having that balance running pass game, not putting too much on Bryce Young, but then number 3, everybody on that side of the ball and trusting each other.
Please like the video, share the videos out on social media, because if you enjoy the content, others will as well. And of course, head on over to Touchdown Alabama for your Alabama football needs with Stephen Smith and the rest of the crew, and join him on his Monday, Wednesday, and Friday show, In My Own Words, right here on YouTube, 6 Central. All right, Stephen, when we check out the defense, combining these 3 components, as we've discussed during the offseason, talent, experience, and previous productivity, you put those 3 together, and it could be just a vintage Alabama defense. But of course, they got to go out there and do the work now and get ready for Miami.
This is a chance to be a very scary unit on that side of the ball. And the entire offseason, the main question has been, is Alabama back? Is Bama back elite on defense? Is it marquee on defense? Is it special on that side of the ball again? I go back to SEC football media days. Among the first 5 to 6 questions too, for Darian Mathis, our 50-year senior on the defensive line to Alabama, was, hey, big man, how's the defense looking? Is the defense back? Is it back to its standards? Is it back to being the elite? Those were among the first 5 to 6 questions too for Darian Mathis. And he basically stared at the camera and said, just watch us this year, we're back. So you look at this group, you look at this team under Pete Golding. Coach Golding, there's a sense of urgency with him, Mark. He thoroughly understands that there's a huge standard in Alabama in not giving up just a whole bunch of points, even though the game has changed, the structure has changed, everything tends to favor the offenses in college football now. But Pete Golding, in a very animated way, was speaking on the main reason why he took the Alabama job, the main reason why he said yes to Nick Saban, is to come coach a defense that can be number 1 in the country, not just number 1 in the SEC, but number 1 in all of college football. So he understands you've got to keep teams out of the end zone, whether it's tightening up on first and second down, finishing plays on third down, creating turnovers, stuffing the run, sacking quarterbacks, whatever it has to take to keep teams out of the end zone. They have to get that done, and also communicating better across the board when it comes to getting the calls made on the field. So this year's defense has a chance to go back to the Bama groups in 2009, 2011, 2016, and 2017. And it just starts with the sense of urgency that Pete Golding is bringing as he enters his 4th year in the program, his 3rd year as the primary play caller.
I got to think it's a little bit early for Miami talk, but did anyone say anything about the Canes?
I mean, Bama's been breaking the film, on Miami. I remember John Mechie at Media Days spoke on how exotic their defensive packages are with Manny Diaz as the head coach, how they like the pressure and get after the quarterback and throw some different defense stunts and looks. Nobody has really spoken on the Miami offense just yet, but knowing De'Aaron King as a mobile, dual-threat, explosive quarterback, he's going to bring some things to the table, especially on the edge, and trying to create and get yards and try to get chunk and huge plays on this Alabama defense. Manny Diaz is somebody that loves taking shots, that loves to be aggressive, so I expect to see that happening. But as far as breaking down Miami's defense, there's been quite a few, Bama players very much so intrigued by, what they do on that side of the ball.
Stephen, I believe the SEC expansion talk with Texas and Oklahoma, I believe that story broke either the day Alabama was in Birmingham or the day after. Do you remember when that story broke?
It broke the day that Alabama was in the Hyatt Regency at the Winfrey Hotel in Birmingham. It broke that day, that Wednesday, and it was just a frenzy because you didn't quite see just off the top that the two founding schools of the Big 12, when you discuss Texas and Oklahoma, would break away from the conference. But it was made known that Wednesday, and since then it's become a nonstop, a continuous conversation. Now, of course, the SEC unanimously has welcomed in both schools, with all schools voting to bring both programs in. Now, I think there'll be the ruling was made to have them in July of 2025, but both schools were able to pay back or give or come off or give up the $80 million each, which is $160 million total of the contractual Big 12 revenue. Then both schools could be in the SEC as early as 2022. But what makes this intriguing here, Mark, is just Texas. If Steve Sarkisian hits as the head coach for the Longhorns, and in the SEC where you are directly head to head against Coach Saban, not just in recruiting but also on the field, this magnifies that matchup because people are just waiting to see, who is the former assistant coach of Alabama that can take down Nick Saban? Who is that guy? People have looked at Kirby Smart. People have looked at Jimbo Fisher. People have looked at just different names. But if Sarkisian becomes highly successful in Texas, then the question becomes, is Sark the one that could actually put some fire there to Coach Saban? So it's going to be very interesting to see, do both programs, Texas and Oklahoma, come off $80 million each to join the conference as early as 2022, or do they wait the whole process out, let the grant of rights expire in 2025, and then come over in July of that year?
Yeah, Jimbo hasn't been close. Kirby Smart obviously had Saban on the ropes twice. But just considering that you've had a few opportunities to interact with the players, and then, as you mentioned, over the weekend with the coaches, I'm sure that this expansion talk is the furthest thing away from their immediate situation, of course. But whether it is going back all the way to SEC Media Days or through your interactions over the weekend, has anyone said anything about expansion?
No one has said anything about expansion. People are still talking about the name, image, likeness deal. And of course, when Bryce Young was near $1 million in terms of NIL endorsements, that kind of raised a lot of interest, a lot of conversation. Of course, Nick Saban got in front of the story at Media Days and talked about how, even with this happening and how much of an unprecedented moment that this is, it has not seemed to derail or deter that young man's focus in trying to lead this team to a national championship. Bryce Young trying to become the fifth first-year starting quarterback, joining Greg McElroy, A.J. McCarron, Jacob Coker, and Mac Jones to take this team and win a national championship with it. The teammates around him, they see him as somebody that's laser-focused, that's on one job, one goal, and one responsibility, which is leading this team. And other guys have gotten NIL deals. It's the same thing. So people have spoken more on name, image, likeness in the expansion, but the players of Alabama, you could just tell from talking to them, from looking at them, Mark, that both things are the furthest things from their mind, that they're focused on how do we get to our goal this season, which is returning to the college football playoff and helping Coach Saban get that 8th title in his coaching tenure.
Well, you've got the call-in show. You've got other interaction with SEC fans. How receptive are they to Oklahoma and Texas?
They're very receptive. I mean, we had a couple of Texas fans call the show. They're excited. They're pumped up. They've been asking about Steve Sarkisian and what could be expected. They've been asking about, two former Alabama players that are now at Texas. Ben Davis, the linebacker, Keegan Robinson, the running back, and what could they bring to the table? So, a lot of fans really excited to see what Texas, what Oklahoma can bring. The big question becomes, will it be, will they keep the same SEC East and SEC West and make it 8-8, or will we take an NFL format and split it up into, four different areas: SEC North, South, East, and West? So I've kind of heard it from both sides of the coin there.
He is Stephen Smith, touchdownalabama.com. Please join him on a show as well. In My Own Words, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right here on YouTube, 6 Central. Stephen, you always deliver. We appreciate you stopping by, sir.
Absolutely. You guys take care, Mark. Appreciate it.